Welcome back to the Art of Hobbiness. I'm Erin, joined by my lovely co-host, Tam.
Hi!
And today we are talking about Tam's new hobby. It is a collection hobby, not something we've really dived into before.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to see what you have been getting into. You've been been very cryptic and secretive about it.
I am!
So why don't you go ahead and tell us all what you've been doing.
Okay, so just to get it out there, a collection hobby, my collection is Polly Pockets.
Wow.
Yes, it's a toy.
Throwback.
This is such a throwback.
Yeah.
Did you have Polly Pockets?
I did have some. I was
Did
not like a super fan or anything, but I
No?
think I had a few.
Okay,
Mhm.
so how do I begin to tell the story of Tamara collecting Polly Pockets? Let's start with, I know where we can start. So in our episode that we did, in which we talked about hobbies and AI,
Mm-hmm.
I talked about how I took
yes.
I'm for the sake of the show, I would really like to find a hobby that is like original, I can produce something original. And so I had an idea when I was experimenting with ChatGPT and hobbies. Is I took everything I like, from Dolly Parton to cactus, turtles, entered all of the stuff in ChatGPT and was like, "Give me a hobby." And the AI spit out diorama.
You're like,
I was like, thanks, but no thanks. So I felt like ChatGPT failed me, right? So I walked away from it and I just kept thinking about it. And I was like, how could I possibly find fun in diorama? What would it even look like? Where would it even be displayed? And I happened to go to local bookstore here, and they actually, like, dioramas are kind of becoming like a thing. Like,
really?
Yeah, like you can get like these like tiny diorama kits that you can build. Like there's like greenhouses.
Oh, wow.
There's like,
I feel like I remember doing that in like maybe middle school,
Yes!
making them for class, for school.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, so it's clearly a thing. But like, where would this diorama live?
Yeah,
right?
right.
And I just couldn't visualize a place where a diorama that I made would live.
Mm-hmm.
So then I kind of started thinking about like, well, what kind of diorama could I make that would live somewhere? And I was like, well, it could live on my desk,
Mm-hmm.
but what kind of diorama could I make on my desk? And I accidentally, like as I was going through this, stumbled upon a thought of Polly Pocket.
Okay.
Polly Pocket is essentially
Just stumbled upon this
stumbled
thought.
upon this thought in my grand
Okay.
scheme. It was like a 2:00 at night kind of thing
Mhm.
where you're like just like stress thinking. And I was like I was like, I need to think of something. Like I really want to put it out there, and then just kind of stumbled upon Polly.
Okay.
So like I had this idea, and I was like, okay, well, what if I, like did something with Polly? So I called one of my sisters, and I was like, this is a ridiculous idea. I just need to bounce it off somebody, and started talking about Polly Pockets. And within that, we kind of started geeking about the Polly Pockets that we used to have.
Okay, so you were a big fan of them when you were a child?
I was
Yeah.
like, and now when I say was I a big fan, like I didn't have a collection
Mhm.
that I'm about to have.
Yeah.
Erin, I'm about to have me a collection. But I had I remember there was this one, and it was Grandma's Cottage, and I don't know if you had this one, but it was just like she had like a little spinning wheel in the lake, and actually I've got it right here on my desk.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, it's like
this is the one?
that's
Oh my
Grandma's
gosh,
Cottage.
look at this.
So it's got a little pink
I
spinning
didn't
wheel.
know that's what it was called.
And if you open it up, like the little
Cute.
spinning wheel like spins the
Oh,
clock.
how wholesome.
And that's exactly, which totally played into our cozy hobby
Yes.
discussion that we just
Oh,
had.
how cute. It's got a little kitchen and a little bedroom. Oh, that's adorable.
So it just like it hit all
Cute.
of these elements of like nostalgia, coziness,
Very
diorama.
Yeah.
And my sister and I like really geeked out about it, and I was like, you know what? I just like suddenly I was like, I'm gonna go buy. Like I'm gonna go. Like surely somebody's got Grandma's Cottage out there.
So where did you end up finding it?
eBay.
Yeah. How much
Yeah.
did it cost?
I did spend a little bit more than I want to admit, but $50 for Grandma. But
Yep.
I feel like okay,
Yep.
now that I've kind of dived
Hey, no
into
judgment.
this a little bit,
Yep.
that's not a bad
Right.
deal.
Right. I'd imagine there's some collector's items out there.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes. And then I'll tell you though, so like I pulled the trigger, Grandma arrived, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The endorphin explosion
Really?
was nuts, Erin. Like, and then like my daughters like jumped in on it and
Mhm.
started playing with it, and like to see like
Cute.
them like really
Mhm.
excited and playing with it made me just be like, I gotta have more of this.
Yeah.
So I went on eBay and I just kept putting buy.
Oh no.
But
That's like, what are all these charges from eBay?
Yeah, he was like, that's it. I'm buying some vinyl. He was right into it. But it was.
What is it specifically about them that draws you to them? Like,
so, okay. So I'm gonna try not to get too emotional,
okay.
but I might not be successful in that. But it's kind of twofold. So really threefold. So on the one hand, I really enjoy like the color palettes. I feel like it's just very colorful. It's very girly. And I just feel like they're small and cute and they fit on my desk, right? Which brings to the next part is it's like, you know, I work remotely and my desk was created during the pandemic, right? So it's very, I'm going to say like prior to this last month, it was very grim looking. It was a desk made out of survival, right? It had the paperwork, it had the desk, it had the computer, and that was the extent of it. It just wasn't a very joyful place to go. And then as the polys started arriving in the mail,
brings you joy.
I needed a place to put them, and I was like, well, I literally had the idea for the desk. Why don't I just put them on my desk? So I took my whole desk apart, and I like remodeled it, specifically designed so poly can be displayed like the best way. And I feel like it's the dawning of a new era desk. Like,
I love that.
You know, it's a reflection of the Tamara that I'm currently working on and working to be, as opposed to the old Tamara. And I didn't realize that just even that simple of a space getting revamped to reflect where I'm going and want to be would just be such a different change in the person that I brought even into like my work environment. Like now when I'm sitting on a huddle that like I don't really speak in, I'm just kind of there to listen. Now I can take Grandma Polly out of her little house and march her on down to visit Midge in her bedroom.
Love it.
And you know, it's like I feel silly saying I'm playing with my toys. But I end up playing with toys.
I love it. You know what? That's where this is a perfect example of you should just do what you love and makes you happy, right?
It brings so much joy. And, you know, to kind of even dive a little deeper, and this is the part where I might get a little emotional, and I'll apologize, but, like...
You do not need to apologize.
So, you know, you have got two sisters, and one of the sisters I didn't get to grow up with. We had a same mom, and then we're the product of, you know, divorce. So we were separated and had to go our separate ways. And in our adult life, we've found each other and become really close and have really tried to heal like those missing bonds, you know. And it's funny because when I first started talking to her about this Polly Pocket idea, and I brought up Grandma, she was like, "Oh my God, I remember Grandma Polly." And we just started like geeking about this, and then we started like talking about the other Pollys that we had. And she is with me, like she's buy. She's buying all these Pollys too, and it's funny because it's like now I'm almost playing with my sister. Like it's like we're getting to, and this is where I'm gonna start to cry. Is it's like, you know, you don't. Sometimes you think you move past personal challenges, and then you find something that helps you heal a part of you that you didn't know needed healed. And getting to play with my sister with these Pollys, it's almost like I'm getting that childhood memory back.
Yeah.
But in an adult way. And it's really, really great.
Oh,
like I almost want to tell everyone, like I wouldn't have said I was a collector of Pollys as a kid. Like Pollys was my toy and I liked it, and I had a Polly Pocket that I really loved. But now in my adult life, I'm having the opportunity to collect these Pollys with my sister. And like we're geeking out about these Pollys and we're playing with them, and it's almost like I'm healing that kid Tamara that longed to be with her sister and wanted to be with her.
Absolutely.
And missed out on that time. But now I get to do that. Now I get to play with her, and like it's so silly to be an adult and play toys with your adult sister. But it's providing a healing nature that I didn't know that I needed or know that I wanted. But man, I'm really enjoying, and I need to really take my credit card away and remove it from eBay, because like the hit of endorphins that I get from it is so gnarly and so consuming.
Yeah.
And then like seeing my daughters play with it together, it's like doubly healing that part, because it's like not only do I get to fix that memory with my sister, but then I get to see my daughters play it. So it's like I'm righting the wrong that I had as a kid, right? And I'm passing it down generationally. And so I feel really good. I feel like really good.
Wow. Who would have thought Polly Pocket? That's amazing.
Would have
such an impact.
But getting out of the emotional side, let me clear up myself here and pull myself together. Going back to the fun aspect of collecting, collecting was one of those ones that I was really nervous about jumping into as a hobby, because I, for the most part, all the hobbies that I've tried on the show, like I've had like a real reason to want to do them, and I knew that like if I didn't like it, like I can kind of move away, right? Whereas a collecting hobby, you kind of have, I always kind of looked at it as more of like a hoarding kind of hobby, which I will absolutely be hoarding. Hoarding Polly Pockets. There's like this, I was just afraid of like, how could I convince, like I talk all the time about how like I still hold back on buying stuff for me for hobbies, but like I never hold back on my kids, right?
Yes.
And I was really worried about the idea of collecting a multiple of something, because that's spending money on it repeatedly, right? It's just different variations of it, just buying that thing. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to convince myself to get into the mindset that I'm okay.
And you feel like you have?
Yes. My God.
Yeah. That's
like,
amazing.
I feel like when it comes to the polys, like I said, there's such an emotional connection now to them that, like, again, I wouldn't have said I was a collector of polys as a kid. I just think as a kid, you just want toys, so I just want to collect them, right? But now as an adult, like, there's literally nothing holding me back. Like, there's no mom and dad telling me that I can't have anymore. Like, I have the purse strings now, which I really need to have someone take the purse strings away.
Have you, so back to like finding the polys, other than eBay, have you searched anywhere else? Like, I don't know, thrift stores, or, getting from other people, or I don't know what the avenues are to buy them. Or can you buy them new? Are there new ones out there?
There are some that are boxed. I mean, you're going to pay a lot.
Gotcha. Well, no, I guess I mean, like, are they still making them?
Oh,
like, can you go to Target and buy them?
Absolutely. Polly's just aged as we have, so, like, she's transformed over the years. I think the polys that I'm more specifically interested in are the ones that I had as a kid. So, like, the one that just, the only movement is at the hip. Like, she bends it, and she's, like, the size of, like, a dime. Like, she's the smallest thing. Which is perfect, because like I said, she fits on my desk. So
it's so nostalgic. It makes sense why you'd be drawn to those.
So like finding them. So my sister and I did have a lot of fun, like trying to go to some like local like flea markets and such. And we did find this
which
one.
Which would be kind of fun to like just as time goes on, you see one out and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yes. So we haven't had luck actually finding a poly in the wild. However, we did run into this guy who actually buys out old like toy stores and then like sells them on eBay. And we were like, any chance you've landed upon some polys? And he's like, oh, I've got a whole box of bluebirds somewhere.
Really?
So we're waiting on this guy to get back to us and be like, I found
What's a bluebird? That's just a type.
The bluebird was the type of brand that had Polly Pockets back in like the early 90s. Okay. Sorry, I probably should have mentioned that.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I'm deep in this.
Yeah. I really don't, it's not something, I just don't remember much about it. So thank you for sharing.
Of course. So we haven't had much luck there, but I'm hopeful, it's getting to be nice weather outside. So people are going to start doing some yard sales. So,
Ooh, that'd be a fun thing to go do.
Yes.
Yard sailing.
I would like to go yard sailing and see if maybe anyone's cleaning out their garage and just happens to find a box and doesn't realize that it could be really cool to have them on their desk. And then I can be like, I will give you $2.
Yes, for all of them. That'd be amazing. Make him recoup some of your sell them on eBay yourself.
It's true, and
get some duplicates.
It's interesting because like the price range is really like you can find any price range for the polys. There's no like real set. It's just kind of like what you want.
What was the most expensive one you saw on eBay, or did you?
So I'm just kind of new in this, so I'm sure like the realms could be really astronomical, but like. There's a clock, like a working poly clock. That one seems to be like a hot ticket item, regardless of whether or not it's in its package or not. That one you can spend like close to $100 or more on.
Yeah.
Which again, like $100 doesn't sound that astronomical if you're trying to fix some nostalgia or some mental
Yeah, right. Hey, it's like a
some
therapy
baggage
session.
that you got, right? It's like I'd spend $100 in therapy.
Yeah,
spend
totally.
$100 on poly.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, like the price range is pretty, anywhere that you want on there.
Have you, other than your sister, have you come across anybody else who's really into Polly Pockets?
No.
Okay.
But also I haven't really talked to anybody about it because there's
You
still a little bit of me that's like, I'm playing with toys. I'm buying toys.
Yeah.
So I think I'm kind of still like
holding on to that.
Because like you said, I hadn't even really talked to you about it because I was just like, well, first of all, save it for the pod. But second of all, I'm like, man, how do I explain to people that I'm collecting toys and I'm playing, and I'm not just collecting them and putting them on a shelf. I'm playing with them. Right. But it's been really fun. And honestly, Erin, I highly recommend you just think about a toy that either you wanted or that you really enjoyed as a kid and just see what would happen if, maybe
I'll have to think about that.
Pull that in. Do you have a favorite toy?
I don't know. I have to think about that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I had to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning, like when I did it. Like it was like me.
I mean, definitely was really into
Barbies,
but nothing that I can think of that I'm like, oh.
Was not a Barbie that stuck out to you? I'm trying to think about what was a Barbie that stuck out to me. There was a pregnant Barbie.
There was.
Which they talk about it in the Barbie movie. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Freaking bitch.
Are you, now that you've done a collection hobby, do you feel like you would consider collecting other? Do you have any interest in collecting anything else?
Ooh, man. Okay, so yes. However, I really feel like this one kind of hit the bar kind of high that it almost makes me, I'd be very interested to see if I would find as much joy or if I would still be able to convince myself to spend the money on myself, right? Like I feel like I landed on a gold mine with the polys. Like it literally hit me personally in so many levels that it was enough to justify spending money on myself, right? So like I know when I was first thinking about doing a collection hobby, I was like, I don't know, stamps.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to think of how I was going to justify myself collecting stamps.
Wow.
Right? Like I was like, I mean, I
that
guess
just doesn't even fit your personality.
No.
The Polly Pockets it's like you boxed up in a little heart.
Oh, thank you. There's these ring cases that like I feel like if Pat were to repropose to me now, I'd be like, if you could repropose to me with a ring poly, dealer's choice,
that
anyone you want.
Incredible. Maybe for an anniversary or something.
Yes.
I love it.
So I hope to have some more polys by the time that you come back and visit me, and I hope to get some nice shelves to display them.
Love it.
And I really want to know if you think more about maybe a toy that is in your history that you would want to bring.
Well, one thing I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing this hobby with us, it's so fun. No, it's so fun. It's so fun. And I think it's a testament to like how far you've come on the hobby journey and beginning, finding your authentic self and like figuring out what really truly brings you joy. And I think that the message here is that you weren't just like willy-nilly picking something.
No,
you really thought about it and you're
this.
really trying to like do something that just authentically brings you joy.
Yes.
So that's the, I think, take-home message, right?
I'm gonna cry
again.
Is it?
Aw.
Find back the tears now.
Aw. But I hope that, sharing this with our listeners just helps to break down that barrier of like being scared to put yourself out there or take chances on things that maybe other people might think are stupid or whatever whatever your inner monologue is telling you.
Yeah.
Whatever is holding you back from starting that hobby or that collection, play with toys.
Yeah.
Have fun. Being an adult's hard, and I think that we all need more play in our lives.
I do. And not even just talking to listeners, but finally getting to talk to you about it, like being my very dear friend, and like I appreciate you listening to me, and I appreciate you being vulnerable with me because you were shedding tears with me. Thank you for not letting me cry by myself on our podcast. But you're really good at listening, and I've been like really wanting to like talk to you about this, and so like I really appreciate you being receptive and like actually thinking that they're cute and
no, they're awesome.
But yes, so thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate you guys stopping by.
Yep, bye.